Aizuss Migdal, A-I-Z-U-S-S, M-I-G-D-A-L. And this is my work. And actually these are on turntables. So you can see the backs. How do you like that? Isn't that a nice back? So people wonder, why do I put breasts on the back? Well, do you have any children? No? Well, if you do, you know you never stop. You never stop. You're always at it. So anyway, this is about what it's like to be a woman. Gorgeous and always working. I've been working with the figure since 1971. I started with clay, and I worked with clay for 25 years until 1990 when I went to a workshop in Washington and learned how to work in bronze. And I've been doing that ever since with the lost wax process. So here are my generic forms, and what I do is cut them up with a frying pan, this little iron thing, and a heat gun. For instance, I'm working on this now. See this? These are strips, and to it I will add what I need to add and stuff like that. It's just the beginning. Okay, my work takes a long time. Everything I do is individual. It's not the typical way of a sculptor in that I don't make a thing in clay and make a mold and then cast it. Everything I do is unique in that I make each piece one at a time, I cast it, and then I decide where to put it on the figure. And I don't take notes because I want to do something that I haven't thought of. And so they are unique, each one is unique, and they cannot be reproduced. I started working with the figure in 1971. Before that, I trained as a painter, and I was very successful with large abstract paintings that sculptors loved, that architects loved. But I came to the end of it, and actually I was on strike teaching at the city colleges, and someone said, go to South Haven. And they gave me some clay. I made a little figure based on the Venus of Willendorf, and that's how it began. Do you want to see some of the tiny figures? They're right over here. Hi.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah. She can, just not that well.
Oh, look at that bird.
She just goes and hangs out.
Beautiful.
A little spoiled.
See, I made these little figures. That's how I began. And they were clay. And people say, why don't you do men? Well, I did men. How do you like that, man? These are raku. And it's a soft clay. But the problem is, I start small, but then I get bigger. And the clay was too soft for that. So I got heavier clay and a bigger kiln. And then with raku, you take it out of the kiln at 1800 degrees and you put it in a bucket with straw. And you start a fire and you put a cover on it and the smoke goes into the figure. And that's how you get the smoky effect of raku, which is very nice. And they use it for pots and all that. But it wasn't strong enough for what I needed to do. So here is, see this? This is the first piece I used to make a mold to work in bronze. I went to a workshop and I had to take something that was light enough to carry and halfway decent. How do you like that? This is a maquette for a sculpture that's in Michigan City. It's 22 feet tall and it's on Road 12. This one is the beginning of a maquette for one called Celebrate. And right now, where is Celebrate? I can't remember. Jim, do you know where I put Celebrate? Well, it's in Michigan or Indiana. Anyway, it's again 20 feet tall. This maquette is in Wisconsin. It's 12 feet tall.
What does maquette mean?
A maquette is a model. In other words, I make the model before I make the big one. And I make all the changes as I go. All maquettes with the, how do you like that? This is bronze that I've gold leafed, because I fell in love with it when I made this big piece for Purdue, and I've been having all kinds of fun with it. But these are smaller pieces, wall pieces, and you see I started with something tiny. You see those little breast things hanging? I call them breast paperweights. But you can see, I get bigger and bigger and bigger, so I had to go to bigger clay, stronger clay, bigger kilns, and finally I went to bronze, which is such a relief. I really like working in bronze, because then you could just weld it. But it's a lost wax thing. I make the piece in wax. I cast each section, and then I decide where I'm going to put it. And I make a point of not knowing, because I really want to expand on what I know. My work is about empowering women. As a woman of a certain age, when I came around, women were ignored. It didn't matter how good they were. So I wanted to make the kind of work that would knock people out and make them see what I'm doing and respect me for it. And I stand for women always being independent and working and equal to men, which they are not in the society, believe it or not. So that's my goal. And that's why I make my work red. You can't miss red. A lot of people want me to say, why not other colors? Well, I like red. And also, red is power. And my figures are about power, and they're also about joy, and they're also about life and having fun. Because they're not depressing, they're very enlightening, because I'm an optimist. I'm always an optimist, which is, I think, a very important thing to be as you age, or if you want to survive. Thank you.
Okay, hi, I'm Peter Gray, and I'm a sculptor. I do big steel, small bronze. A lot of it has to do with science, like molecular biology and neurochemistry. I have big sculptures here in Omaha and other parts of the country. And if you want, you can pan around my studio and see some of my work. So I've been working as an artist since 1964 and as a big full-time sculptor since 2004, about. Before that, I was a scientist as well, in addition to doing art.
Is this where you do your work?
So I do my work right in here, although today it's a gallery.
Okay. And when did you do these pieces?
The pieces you're looking at right there were brand new this year for a show at the Chicago Cultural Center. There's the pieces here, and then there are more at Griffin Gallery here in Chicago. These other pieces on the wall are from periods over the last several years. Why Us, Why Them is an anti-war piece, as is Across the Water, Parting the Waters, which is the red one with the bronze pieces on it. The piece with the X is an X chromosome that has been modified from Fragile X disease and was used in Scientific American magazine. These other pieces are derived from fractal equations, and the big one down at this end is a small sample of a larger piece that's in a Chicago CTA Blue Line station at Chicago and Milwaukee Avenue.
Which one is that?
That's right here. This is called Future Rail, which sort of an abstract version of little pods traveling through time and space. So one of my roles, not only as an artist and a sculptor, is to try and enable young people to get out and actually open up their minds. I've taught a course in sculpture and genetics at Chicago Public School System Elementary School, where we would actually sequence DNA for 5th and 6th and 7th graders, and then they would make sculptures related to genetic information that they found interesting, both on the internet as well as in their studies and books. A lot of that work was done at Dixon Elementary School here in Chicago. It's 83rd and St. Lawrence, a school which has approximately 800 pieces of art throughout the building, in all the halls. Every room but the restrooms are filled with art, and the students walk around it. They never break anything, they never touch anything. And if you get young people involved in art at any age, they'll do it for the rest of their lives. Either appreciate it or try and make it.
Hi, I'm Sharon Bladholm. I've been an artist for 30 years now or longer, and I work with a lot of different mediums: ceramic, glass, bronze. So I work with ceramic, glass, and bronze depending on what I want to say with the piece. To me, a lot of people are surprised that I work with so many different materials, but to me, it's like if you are working with more materials, you have a larger vocabulary and it enables you to say more things. This piece, for example, is made out of bronze, but then I'm also using real tree branches that I found, and down at the bottom is a small brain made out of beeswax. This piece is actually based on a book I read called The Biology of Transcendence, which I would recommend anybody reading. And here's a piece in ceramic. This is I call the Carroll plant printer, and these discs can actually go here, and it doesn't actually smash down, but I did actually print from them and make this series of prints. And I'm not sure if you know who Carl Linnaeus is, but Google him because he's very interesting. He definitely made an imprint on science and our lives even now, because Carl Linnaeus is the one that came up with our whole system of classifying plants, animals, minerals, genus, species, family. All of that was started by Carl Linnaeus. So that's why it's the Carroll plant printer, and each one of these discs has something to do with his life. This is another series. I did a whole, over quite some years, I've made a whole forest of what I call plant forms or biophilias. Biophilia is a wonderful word that E.O. Wilson coined, which means basically the innate love of nature that human beings have. And so I've done this whole series of forms based on really like all the plants that I've seen in rainforests, plant conservatories. I really enjoy going to rainforests. I've been to the Amazon 4 times, the Peruvian Amazon twice, the Brazilian Amazon, the Venezuelan Amazon, actually on scientific expeditions where I've been the artist for the trip, where I've done very exacting, these particular ones are not from the Amazon, but where I do very exacting drawings of different species of plants. But these are kind of a different thing where I'm taking that, it's almost like the computer is stocked with all these ideas and forms and shapes of leaf, stem, stamen, and then they're being reinvented in my own way. Yeah, and I think it's very important that kids from a very young age get involved with both reading books and working with art materials. And it can be simple materials like pastels and watercolors. My dad was actually an art teacher, so we grew up without a TV, but all the books we could read and all the art supplies we could use. And guess what? Me and my 3 siblings all became artists. And people all the time will say to me, oh, I can't draw. Well, everybody can draw. It's just another skill. People don't learn to play the flute in 5 minutes, and you don't learn to draw in 5 minutes, but it's a skill that you work on over time. And even if you're not going to make your whole career as an artist, it's a really important thing. It develops your brain, it develops hand-eye coordination. It's a form of relaxation, so it opens another whole world to whatever, extent you want to take it. And you don't have to be a professional artist selling your work to enjoy art. I think some people feel like, oh, if I'm not going to make my living doing this and I'm not really good, or I'm not going to have my work in a museum, I shouldn't bother doing it. But that's completely untrue. The arts are very, very important on many different levels. And, I was lucky enough to grow up in a family where art was very much stressed as being an important thing, and I'm very grateful for that.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Scott. I'm a local artist here in Chicago. I've been living here since '97. What has inspired me? I think light and reflection has inspired my work. Water, certainly looking at children and people interacting. I look at common themes, being focused in one activity, being by the water, sharing a conversation. Those quiet, intimate moments between people are what I capture in my stories. So what's inspired me and what I think inspires young people is just a chance to create, a chance to find your voice, a chance to explore different media, different imagery, different styles. I think it's important that you look at art from years ago, look at our older artists who inspire your work, learn from them. This is one of my current pieces. I just did this year. I was inspired by some driftwood that has blown over off of rocks by Abacu Dam into the water. Some of these other photographs that you'll see in a minute are pieces of driftwood that I've captured with the reflection below. So this piece incorporates some bones that I've found with the driftwood and then focusing on the reflection. So I love the idea of looking through the water and having shallow water and then having the dried petrified wood and then the reflection below it. I just think there's something very beautiful about the light, the blue, and then the contrast with the water. I've got sticks and bone, so trying to capture that with the oil paint is what inspired this piece. Hi. You can come in, that's okay. This is some earlier driftwood that has blown off the rocks in Abacu Dam. This is the area where Georgia O'Keeffe did her work. She lived by Ghost Ranch and the Red Rocks. If you turn around from that, you will see this dam. These are some pieces of driftwood. There's like an 8-year span in between this piece. I went back recently in January 2015, found the same piece of wood and photographed it. So by happen chance, I've been photographing this wood over many years and have found the counterparts just recently where the dam has receded because of a 25-year drought that's been happening in New Mexico, as well as global warming, I'm sure, has been playing, that has influenced the drop in the dam level. And then these again are just some more driftwood pieces with a beautiful reflection. And sadly, this is what the dam looks like now. All of this dried space. It used to be full with water. So I was a teacher for about 28 years. I love teaching art. I love inspiring art in youth and adults, helping them find their voice. I think art is critical in any development at any stage, whether you're an adult or a child. Just letting your imagination go free or studying seriously, like the figure, landscape, perspective, it all will help in all walks of your life, all areas of life. Art is critical. It helps you problem solve, it helps you think out of the box, and it's inspiring to see what you can come up with and see it, bring it to fruition. So an idea that you have in your mind and actually bring it out in charcoal form, in pencil drawing, oil painting, photography, mixed media, metals, whatever your medium is, I would suggest and hope and pray that you experience all forms of art just to see how it makes you feel and what you can actually do with it.
I work mostly with acrylic paint. So I have acrylic, I have rugs made out of acrylic paint, paintings. These are on canvas. That is real. That is my first. I've been trying to eat. But no, it's not funny that it should. I was like, that could be fake. Fake for real. I looked at it though too, and I was like, it's full paint up, and it looked just like a stuffed burrito.
Now what is this here?
This is,
Can we step
acrylic
on it
paint.
or what?
No, well, I
This
mean,
is art.
it's paint. It's latch hooked. It's flocked.
Oh, you made that?
Yes.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's made to look like a worn red carpet.
It's all paint, actually.
It's all
It's
paint.
one thing. It's all made out of paint. There's no.
I'm trying to get away from structures. Like I like these, but like that, like this is where I'm going towards. This is paint as well, so it's supposed to be like a call it the dream crusher. Inclined to make art. Go for it. I don't think I could stop if I wanted to. So I don't know if it's about empowering anyone as much as people following their dreams. That sounds horrible. It's just like if you want to make art, if you feel artistically inclined, if you feel like you've got a creative whim, what's stopping you? Nothing. My name's Matthew Hillshorst. I'm an artist. Yeah. So then somebody was talking to me about like maybe spinning my own yarn or like dyeing my own yarn, and I was like, no. So then I just moved into making it out of paint. So yeah, I just
You painted the yarn.
No. This is just paint. That's all paint.
So how do you get the individual like little?
They're like
tassels?
this. They're dried strips of paint,
Oh my
and then
gosh.
I latch hook them and make a rug out of paint.
So you make like a layer and then you cut it?
I make I use a pastry bag, like if I was decorating a cake, and I like make little strips on parchment paper, peel them off, flock them,
Oh wow.
which is like suede fibers, so they look like they're kind of like carpet texture, and then latch
Oh
them
my
all.
goodness. I wouldn't have thought that.